My name is Stig Langvall, and I'm one of the members of the committee under the UNCRPD, and I will be chairing this next session. It is about interactive. It is an interactive panel on de-institutionalized DI and community-based services, the way forward. I just want to say that I'm one of those persons who have experienced or who are experiencing institutionalized living. I have been living in an institution, and I have had independent living schemes for almost 40 years. And I think that institutions is not just about where you live, it is also about how you are able to live independently. And even an independent living scheme in a Scandinavian country is actually very institutionalized because it is very bureaucratic, it is very regulated, it is limiting your ability to choose how to live. So it is not just about how much, it is not just about where, it is much more about how to be able to live independently. So, with these few words, I will go over and give the word to the first of the participants in the dialogue. And I don't know, do we have a line of who is going to start, or?
Is this specific order? Do you have a different version of them?
No, I just put in my questions. But we will start with one of my very old friends, Rosalangela Berman Biele, who is the chief of the disability sector in UNICEF, yes. And I have prepared two questions for Rosalangela. And the first one is, what are the two most important individual reasons for not accommodating small children in institutions, but rather providing foster care? And what are the financial impact of providing foster care instead of institutions for small children? And please, Rosalangela, give us some response to that, but not all of the responses, because then you will never be finished.
That was friendly.
And I'm Scandinavian.
Yeah.
Does it go on?
Hello? Can you hear? Yes? Thank you, Stig. It's a big pleasure being here. I don't know if it's good to be your friend for so long, because these questions are not from a friend. How much is the cost? But I will try to address it. But before, if you allow me, I would like to say that it's interesting. It's like a very special sensation for me to be here, because as some of you know, my My whole life I was part of the independent living movement, and now I'm here talking on behalf of UNICEF and children in institutions. And what I would like really to bring to the discussion is how the adults with disabilities that we are, and with everything we learned about living independent, when we will start really extending the same benefits, let's say, to children with disabilities, and highlighting that if it's not through the adults with disabilities, talking about independent living out of institutions and focusing on mentoring and helping children who are not independent even because of age, not to mention all the other reasons related to disability. This is an important call for all of us to consider. As the disability movement, we have only families talking on behalf of children with disabilities, which is a very important constituency, but we need adults with disabilities that were children before to really raise their voices. It's a different voice from the families, and it's important to not to forget them. So, trying to address your question, the first one is why not to place a child with disability into an institution, right? So, I think there are many reasons not to place a child in an institution. Here we are in a region, UNICEF works a lot in the Europe and Central Asia region, where you have the majority of institutions in the world, the most settled and the most difficult to break as well. Let's say break. I don't think it's the appropriate word, but for sure in this region there is a lot of work to be done, but there is a lot of work being done right now as well, showing that families should be supported to keep their children. Is not only related to foster care, because most of the children that are institutionalized, they have their families, and their families are just not supported to keep their kids. So Article 19 brings us this very, very crucial opportunity to understand that to bring children with disabilities back to their families, or if they don't have families, to foster families. It's important to build the services in the community. Why not to put them in institutions? Because actually I have some evidence here that this structured me a little bit, but I will find it. There are now evidence from neuroscience. Let me find this because it's really interesting. That shows, I'm not finding, but that shows that children in institutions reduce a lot their potential of brain development. So the lack of love and the environment that is inside of any kind of closed systems would reduce the ability or the possibility of this child to fully develop intellectually and in all senses. So this is one reason, but the most important reason, and it's in the interest of every child, is that institutions, I visited an institution in Latin America not so long ago. They were showing how beautiful, how clean, it was just remodeled, the institution, and I saw one kid with intellectual disability in one crib that I said, hi, and he smiled, and then every time that I would go further on my way, he would start crying until I grabbed him in my lap. And I think that the most important thing here is that children need love, and institutions can give them maybe some services, but it will never replace a family, and will never be able to provide them the love they need to grow and develop. So the questions you had also about the cost of institutions and foster care. The cost of institutions is always higher, but even if it was not, we are here discussing rights, and the rights of the child are, are much more relevant than any cost. If systems are building society, yes, we need to invest for this to happen, and this is what we should focus now. While institutions are being closed, we cannot just not offer solutions in the community. So this is a right of every child, and now there are campaigns for stopping institutionalization from 0 to 3, just to start having a generation that will not be exposed to institutions. And in the meantime, we have really to invest in community services in the level of the municipality, not only national policies, but working with community workers, social workers, and structures in the level of the municipality to have social benefits for families, for parents with children with disabilities, cash transfers, inclusive education in the society, inclusive and accessible health services, and others that will allow the children to grow together with their siblings and become citizens, so they can start working in the Independent Living Center and moving that part of the movement for the adults as well as everybody else. So I hope I could answer a little bit of the question.
Yes, there you can see, if you don't limit her, she will be speaking forever. Now I will turn over to Senada Halicevic, who is the president of the European Platform for Self-Advocates. And the two questions for Senada is, what actions are urgent to ensure independent life, and what is your advice to persons with disabilities for living independently?
Hello to everybody, I'm very glad to be here today.
Odgovoriti prvo na prvo pitanje što je potrebno hitno poduzeti kako bi se osiguralo neovisno življenje.
I will first answer the first question, what actions are urgent to ensure independent life.
Po mome mišljenju hitno moramo primjenjivati zakon, domaći zakon je prema Konvenciji o pravima osoba sa invaliditetom.
In my opinion, one of the first things that we have to do is to change laws and implement laws according to the convention in our own countries.
Jer ti zakoni većinom sputavaju ljude da žive neovisno.
Because the existing laws very much hinder or prevent persons to live independently.
Daću jedan primjer, osobni primjer. Ja radim, dobivam plaću, ali moj posao ovisi o tome, o mom radu i mojim mojoj udruzi koja se financira od projekata. Da.
Yes, I will give you a personal example. I'm an employed person and I work, but of course my job depends on my ability to work, but also depends on the support that I get at my work.
Većina osoba sa invaliditetom ne radi, ili ako žele raditi, po zakonu gube sva prava.
There are many persons with disabilities who would like to work, but according to existing laws, they rather choose to receive social benefits.
Людина лакше biti ljudi se boje zaposliti jer danas često mogu izgubiti posao i teško naći drugi posao.
And people are often afraid to search for a job because they are very much afraid of losing the job, and that's even more serious today in the period of economic crisis.
I radi ostaju u socijalnom službi.
So they rather prefer to stay and remain dependent on the social care system.
Tako da biti, ako hoće biti nadovezala bi se i na članak 24 o kojem sam danas govorila. Većina ljudi ima zastarjelo zanimanje i ne mogu naći posao i to je jako bitno da bi čovjek mogao neovisno živjeti. Da.
I would also like to follow up on the things that I talk about this morning, and they are related to the Article 24, which I think is also very important because, as I said, many persons with disabilities are educated in obsolete professions, and therefore it is very hard for them to find a job, and having a job is one of things that is of crucial importance to live independently.
Drugo pitanje je šta bi koji je moj savjet za osobe sa invaliditetom za neovisni život.
The second question, what is my advice to persons with disabilities to live independently?
Moj osobni savjet je da trebamo što više tražiti da se konvencija poštuje i primjenjuje u svakoj zemlji.
My advice is that we all should be demanding as much as possible that the convention is implemented in every country in the world.
Jer ne tražimo nešto nemoguće, nego tražimo ono što pripada svakom čovjeku, a i mi smo ljudi.
Because we are not asking or demanding, because we are not demanding or asking something that is impossible, but we are asking something that belongs to every human being, and we are human beings.
Mi isto moramo jako puno pričati i davati primjere i sudjelovati u kreativnosti zajednice i otvarati nova radna mjesta i da.
We should also be the ones who are actively participating in the creation of policies in our communities.
Kako bi mogli budućoj generaciji ostaviti da žive neovisno.
So that we could be the generation that lives in the heritage to other generation a possibility to live independently.
I samo hrabro da tražimo ono što nam pripada.
And of course that we are brave to ask what belongs to us.
Hvala.
Thank you.
Yes. The next speaker will be Jorge Chucky Kettlen who's a professor at the sociology department of Valparaiso University. All these different languages. It's much better to speak Danish. But I have proposed two questions here to Jorge, which is, the first one is, when persons with disabilities are supposed to live together in group homes up to 8 persons per group home, how can one be guaranteed the right to choose with whom to live and where to live, and have the total freedom to choose? And that is one of the essentials of being de-institutionalized. And the second one is, how can one be guaranteed that the service provided to the persons living in small group homes can be accommodated professionally in accordance with their individualized and specialized needs? Easy questions to ask.
Son preguntas fáciles. Primero, con los recursos que existen en Chile, por lo menos, pretender que haya una cantidad de hogares tan grandes como para que las personas puedan elegir dónde vivir, en este momento es una ilusión porque no existen recursos para eso. Yo creo que si existiera la cantidad de hogares que se necesitan, estoy de acuerdo en hacer algo de ese tipo. Ahora, lo mismo respecto a la posibilidad de elegir, pero a mí me parece, los hogares que existen actualmente, aparte del hecho de no poder elegir, están sometidos a una serie de reglas y las personas no tienen expectativa de vida futura, como se ve en el hecho de que no tengan planes de vida del 85%. Es decir, si para la idea que se nos ocurrió para mitigar un poco ese aspecto es que hayan planes individualizados, que la cuidadora haga planes individualizados, y si una persona está en condiciones de salir porque no está muy deteriorada, que salga a la hora que quiera y no se aplique la misma regla de acuerdo a la persona de menos capacidades, sino que se haga un sistema diferenciado. El ideal sería que todos vivieran con quienes desean vivir. Ahora, aparte del problema de los hogares, que es uno de los problemas que hay en la psiquiatría, me parece que el problema atraviesa también a los que viven con su familia. La familia de la persona no la elige, salvo que sea la familia propia. Y desde ese punto de vista, cuando hay tratamientos coercitivos que señalan lo que se debe y lo que no se debe hacer, eso hace que la persona no pueda decidir por sí misma, y una de las razones más importantes de la autonomía es poder decidir por sí mismo. Si eso no se respeta, salvo que grave daño, por ejemplo, que quiera poner una bomba, que en casos muy excepcionales, si eso no se respeta, eso no va a contribuir al desarrollo de la persona. Es decir, si la persona se acostumbra a obedecer o a seguir las indicaciones del ambiente, lo único que va a ser una persona dócil, una persona pasiva, como estamos llenos en los casos de personas con discapacidad psíquica, que en el fondo no van a poder ninguna tarea importante, porque en las tareas importantes hay que luchar contra la corriente. Por eso el tratamiento de adaptación social me parece que debería ser totalmente reformulado. Yo estoy de acuerdo en que hay un tratamiento psiquiátrico. Hay personas que dicen que hay que eliminar el tratamiento psiquiátrico, pero hay que reformularlo de manera que contribuyan a la libertad de la persona y no a su opresión.
Yes. Sometimes I think if there are anyone who have actually made a real business economic analysis of the difference between living in various forms of institutions and living totally independent, and really made the economic business plan, but perhaps there are someone who will provide an answer to that in the dialogue after this. Now I will give the word to Sukyong Park, or the surname is actually easier than the first name. Civic Education Professor, Humanities College, Kyunghee University. And the first question is, today there are many service providing organizations involved in running many institutions. And is it possible for them to transform and adapt to service providing to persons living independently within the local community? And the second one is it possible for all families to understand and support the concept of independent living regardless of impairment of the family member living in institutions today? So is it actually possible to transform from the perspective of the families also? And looking forward to listen to the answers.
Thank you for the questions. Allow me present to what I have prepared. I'm not comfortable with my English. I'm sorry. Thank you, Chair. For 12 years, I have been an activist and researcher for the development of the institutionalization in Korea. I led and operate the Policy Committee for the Institutionalization. I have established and supported alongside with my colleague Disabilities and Human Rights in Action. Today, I briefly introduce the current situation and challenges we face in Korea for the institutionalization and share some principles for institutionalization with you. Korea adopted the Western models of institutional care since late 19th century. Since then, institutions in Korea have recently increased by 4 to 5% per year. These institutions continue to commit serious human rights violations. Since 2003, civic organizations for persons with disabilities and human rights groups have been centrally enforced, with little police implementation followed at the national level. At the local level, the city of Seoul announced in 2013 that it would start the institutionalization policies. However, there has been no political basis and support from the national level yet, which makes this a harder task. There are conflict and confusion in the concept of the institutionalization. To eliminate these, it is necessary to define the concept of the institutionalization and independent living by adapting the principles articulated in the Convention. The core problem of implementing the institutionalization are conflict among the stakeholders and lack of awareness on the part of the community as a whole. Recently, large social welfare foundations in Korea are building large institutions in developing countries as a part of their international cooperation program. In the same way, institutions were introduced in Korea as charitable activities by foreign missionaries in the past. Korea is replicating the same practice in developing countries, escaping public attention altogether. It is imperative that CRPD adopts a position expressing concern about the spread of institutions in developing countries. This point is so important. Now I want to talk about 10 principles derived from the study conducted by my colleagues and myself. The following 10 principles must be considered in the institutionalization policy in Korea and could be used in other countries similar to Korea. 1. Develop a roadmap for the institutionalization at the national level and to clarify the laws of the central and local governments. 2. Limit expansion of institutions and simultaneously to close and dismantle the existing institutions. 3. Ensure the person directly involved participate in the process and support them and their families to overcome fears. 4. Secure high-quality regional supportive social services and equality of access. The new services should be different from the existing institutions. 5. Reduce funding for institutions. 6. Ensure the relocation of institution workers in the process of the institutionalization. 7. Establish a principle which prevents the interest of the institution from obstructing the institutionalization. 8. Develop a transfer and support system toward the institutionalization at the national level. 9. Carry out a pilot project for the institutionalization. 10. Ensure flexibility in supporting budgets and services to meet individual needs. Finally, I hope that the CRPD will be able to establish the institutionalization general guidelines. Thank you very much.
I'm just thinking, if it is so obvious that independent living is a human right, I cannot understand why we are still having projects trying to find the way within countries to provide that possibility to persons with disabilities. It is not just in South Korea that they are doing that. It is almost all over the world, also in countries like the Scandinavian countries who thinks that they are the best for providing independent living. Now I will give the word to Juan, and I will not even try to say the surname, from Argentina, member of Asociación Azul for Independent Living for Persons with Disabilities. And my two questions to Juan is, please describe how alternative communication system impacts in the right to live independent and being included in the local community. And the second one is, what is the role of DPOs disabled people's organizations in the implementation of Article 19, and please provide examples from your personal situation. And the word is yours, Juan.
Hola a todos. Primero quiero invitación. Me gustaría compartir mis pensamientos sobre el derecho a la vida independiente de usuarios de comunicación aumentativa alternativa. Me preocupa eso porque para que nuestras decisiones sean respetadas, tenemos que depender de que nuestra voz sea escuchada. Y eso nos pone en una situación muy frágil y riesgosa. Es fundamental que mientras pasamos del encierro a la vida independiente, se fortalezcan